One. We are live. We're connected. We're good to go. All right. So, Mr. Nathaniel Woods, how you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm good. So glad to be here. You can just call me Nate, man. Go ahead.
All right. All right. Hey, man, just trying to keep it professional. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
I mean, you are a book author. You have some pretty inspirational stuff. Your book's called Dots,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that
So
stands for
developing others through service.
okay.
And yeah, that's everything, man. Developing others through service, and then I just wanted to introduce that concept, but not only that, but just pull a page from the Google book. You know, when they created the Droid phones, they named their phones after the software. And I just named my company is called Developing Others Through Service, and so I named the book after my company, Developing Others Through Service, and then the part at the end, which is a caveat, starting with me.
That's pretty awesome. So, how did you get down this path? How did you decide you wanted to go down the developing others? Like, what brought you here?
Man, I think it started with my mom. So growing up in my family is huge. So my mom's one of 10, my dad's one of 8, and it kind of got crazy and started off a little weird because we used to serve people in our family during family reunions and family cookouts, that type of. And as my mom would do these things, we would have to clean up. So she would go cook and get all the accolades, and we had to clean up. And so she got me down this path of serving people through serving our family and our friends. And then I didn't really like it. I despised serving people. But as I grew older, I realized, man, that's a great place to be. The most powerful person you would think in a castle or in the White House, you would say is the president. And they do have a lot of power. But the person that knows everything that's going on is the butler.
Yeah. No, I feel
Yeah.
I feel slightly the same way. Growing up, my family, the way my mom's awesome. It's just we had, moms. You know how moms are. You know how they'll be like offering your services up for no reason, and you're like, Mom, I didn't agree to
No
that.
doubt.
You're like, hey, I heard about that party that you guys need help with. Yeah, my son can
Yeah.
help. I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom,
Yeah. Yeah.
did you even ask me? I know
Yeah.
she's probably gonna tune in here in a few minutes, and she's probably gonna hear me saying that. But, but for real though, like
Yeah.
I worked at a camp for special needs kids over the years. Helping serve people like how you did, and you know,
Yeah.
about in my early 20s, I just was like, what, I just need some me time.
Yeah.
I've
I feel you on that. I was there. So I mean, we started serving and we were doing like fish fries and cookouts and church events and all these types of things, community events. And as I got older, man, we opened a restaurant, and it was the best thing ever because I was able to be in the back office. And whenever I came out of the back office, I was just socializing with people and just building relationships. And I realized that one, service nothing if you don't have relationship. So one, you have to have relationship. Two, you have to have a good product worth people purchasing or coming
right.
back for. And then number three, you got to get past yourself. And so when I was able to get past myself and just pay more, and everything just started changing. And I wanted to get away from all of it. And I tried my best to get away from it, but it was so ingrained in me that when I was in college, man, I found myself serving people around me. When I went into the professional field, when I started working in wireless or whatnot in retail, it was the same. I couldn't get away from it. It's innately a part of who I am, and I couldn't get away from it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Doing paperwork and being like on the sidelines, behind the scenes, trying to, I don't know, organize things on the admin side. Like I'm a social person. I mean, hence why we do the
Yeah,
podcast. I'm very
no doubt,
social.
no doubt.
It's that aspect. It's as we're talking, growing up, I felt like there was just a moment in time where I was like, you know what? I feel as though I'm missing out on that aspect. I'm missing out on being social. I'm
Ah,
missing
that's
out
good.
on, changing people for the better.
Yeah, yeah, that's good, man. No, man, I think that's just where it's at. And so I love people and I love being a part of conversations and I love new people. and I used to tell my wife, I used to tell her when I first met her, I was like, yeah, I get bored being around the same people all the time and no one new comes in. I love fresh blood and having those new conversations and new perspectives and new ideas. And so that's what made it exciting for me at work, is because we had new concepts that were rolling out, new products that were rolling out. And so it made it great.
Right.
And now that I teach, and I'm a college professor now,
Are you
I get
really?
new students every quarter. So it's the best thing ever. So it's always great.
So are you?
And I get to see them do great.
You're teaching at ESU, right?
No, so I'm actually teaching at GHC, so
Okay.
Grace Harbor College, yeah, in Washington State. So absolutely love it. When I tell you, apart from writing and public speaking, teaching has always been my dream job, and just to educate people and be a communicator. I mean, if you ask me what I do for a living, I say that I'm a communicator and an investor. That's it.
Right. Let me get to some of these comments real quick. Dell's in the chat. He says, "Hey, what's up? Where can I get the book?" Amazon, right?
Absolutely.
Amazon.
Yeah, so go to Amazon and get it. We have the e-version out there. I would highly recommend, hear what I'm telling you, highly recommend you get in a paperback copy, because you have a work.
I think you're breaking up just a little bit there. You broke up just a little bit.
So outside of the acknowledgement, and now and so
Hold
the
on.
paperback version.
There we go. Hold on. I think it's Zoom acting up. I don't think it's you. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, it's Zoom acting up, because right now it's saying your bandwidth is a little low, and usually when Zoom's funky.
Bogged down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see it all the time at the school. But no, so get the paperback version. Anybody get the paperback version, because it has the workbook in the back, which is the part that's most exciting. And that's where you're going to get the bulk of anything you get out of this book is going to come through answering the questions and filling out that part. And then I would also challenge you to read the book with someone else, so that you can bounce ideas and concepts and perspectives off of each other.
That's perfect. Yeah, so we just ordered the books. I'm going to have my wife read it with me. Hey, what's up, Zach? Zach's in the chat. We got Saint in the chat. We got Randall. Hi, all. Saint with the Blomps. We got Garen. Hey, I'm here too. I might be quiet, just being tired. Hey, no problem, man. Hey, Randall, Saint. Hi, Mr. Know-It-All. Guys, real quick, here's his Instagram. Go follow him on Instagram. This man's a cool dude. He does a lot of cool stuff. Again, so would you consider yourself more introverted or extroverted?
Whew. Have you ever heard of the term extra?
Say that again, because it's still, I think the bandwidth is still messing up a little bit.
So so I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
But I love that quality time by myself, though. It helps me to re-energize. So I'm an extrovert, man. What about you?
I think someone told me I'm definitely an introvert that's cloaked as an extrovert. So I can put on the extrovert skin and do the podcast and be all like energetic and everything. But for me personally, I like to spend that alone time. I like to be energized by just being mentally there. It's just those aspects. I think Zoom's not hanging with us tonight. Zoom ain't the move tonight. Are you still there, Nathan?
Yeah.
All right. There it goes. Right. It keeps going back and forth. Like it brings your picture in, and then it drags it to the side. So
I don't know what it is. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. It's not none of that. But have you? So I noticed your book's title is doing its dots, and it stands for doing.
Yeah, so it's developing others through service.
Developing others through service.
And it's all about
So
and that's generally just putting ourselves aside to serve others.
Yeah, have you ever taken the 5 love languages?
So, okay. Yeah,
Okay, interesting story. Let's hear it.
absolutely. Yeah. So, my master's degree is in marriage and family counseling. And
Oh, wow.
so,
Okay.
yeah, so when I counsel groups or families or whatnot, or couples, that's one of the go-to books is that Chapman book, man, the five love languages, and helping people understand how do you serve other people in the way that you're served or you feel valued, or whatever your love language is.
Right.
Um, just because that's yours may not be that's the way someone else receives love.
Right. Did you ever feel like doing acts of service or developing others through service, kind of tied into that book a little bit?
Absolutely, man. And I'm a physical touch person, so let's go ahead and be clear there. So developing a family or relationships or just any type of relationship is one to serve another. And sometimes we come into relationships and we have these selfish motives or these selfish ambitions. And what it does is it creates a divide rather than the unity that we're looking for within relationships.
Right.
And so I figure if I take the lowly route and I serve you, then it'll all work out for everyone involved.
That philosophy is kind of how we built Daydreams so far, and it's kind of
Wow.
how we're developing Daydreams too. I mean, a lot of the people that view the stream are Twitch streamers, or they're other people with their own content that they're trying to promote. They're trying
Yeah.
to, get their name out there somehow, some way. So
Yeah.
our philosophy at Daydreams and what we're kind of doing here is by supporting other people. Because what I've found is that, doing those simple acts of service, like you're saying,
Yeah.
like just supporting their content, showing up to their stream, chatting in there and interacting with them. I found that for me, it shows that, I support you. And
Yeah.
most of the time I haven't asked for anything in return, but a lot of the people that are here are from that interaction. And they're
Yeah.
from those moments that I've just was like, you know what, let me see what this guy's about. Let me check him out. Let me support this guy. Let me figure
Yeah.
this out. And it's you know it's basically networking at
That's
a certain
exactly
point.
what it is. That's really that's what serving other people is how can I take care of you? I don't have to ask you to do anything for me because if you see that I'm serving you, you're a turnaround. It's called reciprocity. You get it back. So what goes around comes around, in other words, reciprocity. If I give it, it's going to come back to me. And it may not come back in the fashion by which I gave it to you, but it's going to come back.
Right.
And so, and I mean, some people say karma. Some people say you reap what you sow. It no matter what you believe or how you want to wrap it up or package it, it's the same thing. I just believe if I go and I take my time to give to you and support you, that's why I appreciate you for allowing me to come on to your podcast, man, and just show some love. And I appreciate that a lot, man. So you got my support, hands down.
Hey man,
Now
hey
I'm
look,
living
you're
for life.
helping me by coming on, providing some entertainment here. So it goes both ways.
Yep, that's the point. So we get apart, we start serving each other, then everyone wins, and then what it does is it takes out the competition, and we're no longer competing, but we're supporting.
Right. So have you ever gotten to a point to where you felt as though that somebody was taking advantage of your support? Like, what do you do in those situations? Like, how do you
Man,
how do you figure those situations out?
great question, man. So I'm real big on intentions, and I like to find out what people's intentions are up front, and then I don't call anyone a liar unless they lie to me.
Right.
So if I identify the intentions up front, and then you do something opposite of those intentions, then I think we can go our separate ways if that's what it comes down to. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? So whenever it comes to relationships, whether business or personal, I just find out what the intentions are up front. And I think in business, it's a little bit more difficult, and the water gets a little more murky because most people want more than just their paycheck.
Of course.
So they want a paycheck and then they want a congratulatory email. You're doing a great job. And I get it because those are intrinsic rewards, and people move or motivated or fulfilled by intrinsic rewards more so than those extrinsic rewards like a bonus or a vacation or trip. And
Right.
so what I do is I find out from organizations like, what is it that you want from me, and how can I meet that expectation? And then I just tell them, if I can meet it, I'll meet it. If I can exceed it, I'll exceed it. But then if you abuse me, then shame on me. So I have to identify what you do to that's causing to make me feel like you're abusing me. And in my book, I talk about the difference between having a confidant, someone who's in it for you and they're all about you, and then they support you and they're in it because you're in it. And then you have someone who we would call a comrade or a constituent. Let's start with a constituent, someone who's not in it for you, but they're in it because what you're doing, they're trying to do. And if someone comes around that can do what you do or provide them with what you're providing them with at a better rate or faster, they're probably going to walk away from you
Right.
because they're in it for. And then there's these people that are comrades, and we look at comrades like scaffolding and Bishop T.D. Jakes, great man, a great communicator, shared. He said, comrades are like a scaffolding because they say that you would think that it's a part of the building. Scaffolding goes away, and then that's close to you. And because they're close to you, you would think that they're a confidant, but they're not. They're there to fulfill a purpose. And once the purpose is fulfilled, they're gone. That doesn't mean that you're a villain or they're a villain. That's just the way it is. Now, granted, there are more relationship types. I just used those three in the book.
Right. Do you think people are more like self-serving in a sense? Do you think that that most of their intentions are geared towards themselves?
I think we all are to some extent. And I think that you have to be to some extent, right? So who's going
Right.
to protect you better than you?
That's true.
Like, who's going to make sure? Like, I used to tell, I had someone that worked for me, and phenomenal person. And I learned, I think, more from her than she learned from me. Meenal Patel, shout out to you. Think the world of you. But Meenal I mean, she's a monster. Like, she could run her own business. That's how well informed she is. But I remember having a conversation with her and some other people, and one of the other ladies that was there when Meenal and I were talking said, "I'm not sure if I'm getting my value. If I'm not sure if they're giving me my value's worth." And we were just sitting back and we were just kind of floored because it's rare for people to be that transparent in business.
Right.
But no, while we were there, I just shared a quote with them, and the quote was, "If you don't know your value, it is not my job to show you your worth." And that's heavy, and it seems hard, but it's not. We have to take some time to understand what we're worth, so that way we don't get essentially played.
No, that makes total sense. I mean,
That's the best way I can say it. So we don't get played. And so we go into a situation knowing what we're worth, and I don't take anything less than what I'm worth. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna go walk in an organization and say, "Hey, give me $1 million, man. I need that million. I'm worth $1 million." Okay, you may be worth $1 million. And it's nice to think highly of yourself, but I can't accommodate $1 million. So I'm gonna pay you 36,000, 56,000, will that
right.
work for you? And if so, then you go for it. If not, then you don't.
Yeah.
And if you go for it in a couple years later, you feel like you're worth more and you haven't gotten what you needed, go back and reassess, have some more conversations. But in relationships, it's the same thing. Like, why settle to be verbally abused when you know you're worth more? And a lot of it is because we're not, when we think self-serving, we think is selfish, or we think it's the wrong things, like you're a gold digger or that type of thing. When I think self-serving, I think we should take more time. Like your boy said on there, said, "Look, man, I'm tired. I'm gonna be quiet. Like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I
I'm
hear
here,
you.
but I'm quiet." And I think we need more of that, and that's just called self-care. And the idea is, if self-serving became more like self-care, then I think more people would value themselves a little bit more.
Yeah, I think there's a point to where you have to just say, enough is enough. Like, I think a lot of people think that just because you're serving others or you have that
Mhm.
sense of service, then
Yeah.
they think that they're obligated to do something for somebody else, even if it means getting taken advantage of.
Mhm.
And I think you're right. It's like drawing that line and knowing your worth and knowing, how much is this worth my time? How much
Bingo.
is worth my skills? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And I'm an investor, so I think my time is very valuable. And so I don't give my time away to anyone. And if I see that the conversation has no value, I'm quick to cut the conversation real
right.
quick. If the conversation has a lot of value for you, I don't mind giving some, but I won't give everything because then you're sucking me dry. And I can't do that. So what
Yeah.
I do is I balance my conversations and I balance my time. And I do a lot of that by just serving in organizations where we can serve people that are in need and then doing a lot of things locally. So I don't want to go build up other areas and not build up the area where I live at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that your foundation is steady before you go focusing on someone else. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
Say again?
Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
No.
He talks about he's a clinical psychologist who has been in the mainstream for a long time, but he talks about um, you know before you can go change the world, make sure your room is clean.
Bingo.
Like
Bingo.
like how can you change the world if your room's not clean? And that
Bingo.
hit me. I was like, dang, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
Makes a lot of sense. Yes. That's real. But I feel this that and that's essentially what this book is about is before you run out and you try to get this lofty title and gather all of these accolades, what are you doing to become disciplined yourself so that when you do get this title or this position, you can maintain a position? I've seen too many people in my life get promoted to a position that they've always dreamt of. They wanted it and they get there, but they don't have the bandwidth, internet, they don't have the bandwidth to maintain a role or they don't have the competency level to stay there. And so they're pursuing something that they're not built or equipped enough to handle. And
right,
so they fall. So the developing others through service part is about prepping myself to lead. So what am I feeding myself? I was talking to someone the other day, it was a VP, and the VP said, Nate, I need help. Could you come in? We'll hire you as a consultant to come in and you can help build this thing out where I work at. And I said, oh, that's great. And I was like, so based on the analysis that I've done, this gap analysis, I realized, I said, and I said it nice. I said, John Maxwell is a phenomenal writer and communicator. And he writes in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, he writes that this law called the law of the lid, which means your people will only go as high as the leader. So if the leader caps out at 8, the highest the people will ever go is a 7 unless they come out from under their leadership. Does that make sense?
that makes a
And
lot of
so,
sense.
and
Yeah,
the idea is, and the idea is we get to a place where we cap out sometimes and we need a refresh or we need a reboot or we need to just get educated again so that we can continue to grow. And I was talking to this VP and the VP said, I need help. I think that I'm the issue. I'm maxed out at a 5 and my team are trying to get to a 6 and a 7, but I'm maxed out at a 5. And I said, well, great. I said, here's my book. And then here are some additional books for you to read. And guess what they said? They said, Nate, I want to finish this romance novel that I'm reading. And after I finish this romance novel, then I'll commit to becoming a better me. And I said, well, if the issue is you need to educate yourself on leading, why would you not just put the novel
yeah,
down, the romance novel down, and get a book that's going to help you because your vacation's over.
yeah. It's
This is
priorities.
this is work time, right? And
Right.
that's what this book is about: is how are we using our time to better position ourselves so that we can serve others and do it for perpetuity or until the time we die.
Okay. I have a question for you, but let me get to chat first because we've
Okay.
got a lot of people in here. So we have Chandler, we have Nikki, my wife. She's in here. She copied the
Hello,
link to
Nikki.
the
What's
book
up, Chan?
above. Dell says he just bought the book. What's up,
Appreciate
Dell?
you. I
My mom's
appreciate
in here. She says good content. Hey, mom. Randall,
Hey,
hi. Chandler with the yeah, okay, and then Kayla with the damn. Goodness, guys.
it.
Let's
So,
see. Let's see. Going down. And we have Juan in here. What's up, buddy?
What I
Good to
want.
see you. If your homies don't love you, you don't love yourself, and that's why me and Dylan are married. You know I love you, Chandler.
That's good.
Chandler says I don't know how to read, but I'll buy the book.
No doubt. I appreciate you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so do you think, I guess at the age of social media and the way people are, I guess in the individualistic society of the United States, let's just take this culture, for example. Do you think people are less likely to commit to selfless acts of service?
Mm.
I mean, because the argument is, America is such an independent nation. We focused on the individual rather than the collective group, and not that that's an issue. We're not going to get into politics here. But
Yeah, no, I think that each person. I don't like speaking for the collective, but I
right,
think that we're at a place in our country where we're starting to see the value in unity
hmm
and how much good comes from us coming together and serving each other. And one of the things is that as individualized as we are, or individualistic as we can still operate as a unit and keep our individuality mutually exclusive, right? So I
right,
can still be me, you can still be you, and we can still serve a common cause. And I think that's the beauty in where we are as a country, as long as that doesn't create a rift. And what I mean by a rift is I don't like comparisons in the sense where I have to put you down in order for me to feel good about myself.
hate that.
Yeah, like I think that that's it's scary. What a scary way to live. But it shows where we are, where our esteem level is, and how we really value ourselves. If I have to compare myself to you in order to feel valuable, or because what happens is when I compare myself to you to make me feel good, then I have to belittle you in order for me to feel good. But then the opposite of that, the opposite of the coin is, what if you do something better than me? Then now I feel less than because you're excelling at something that I'm struggling with, when in fact I could just congratulate you and maybe ask for the secret sauce. Hey, what's your secret sauce? Why are you doing so great? Uh, can we partner together on some things?
Right.
But if we're so individualized, what happens is we'd rather compete rather than come together, and then we get so full of pride that I can't ask for help. Like, man, I'm over here struggling. And when I was working at for a Verizon retailer, that's one of the things that we used to talk about all the time. We used to push hard. Yo, call if someone's beating you, call them and say, yo, what are you doing? How are you crushing everybody? And get the secret sauce. And if they're that good, they should be able to give you the secret sauce and still beat you.
Right. Do you think that plays sort of into the onset of depression, or the
I
fact
do.
that people are nowadays, depression is on the rise, mental health is now
Mhm.
at a volatile state? Do you think that sort of that competing nature conflicts with people's internal self-esteem?
Yeah, man, that imposter syndrome, right? So trying to feel like someone else or be someone else that I'm really not. And I think part of it is we're so used to or accustomed to seeing the Photoshop version of people
Right.
as opposed to the authentic, right? So we tend to see people on social media when they're on their vacations at the height of their relationships. They don't ever get on there when I just finished arguing with my wife and we looking at each other like, for real. It's never that. It's always we're all booed up or we cupcaking, right? But the idea is if we saw more authenticity in social media and just how things are presented, then I mean that's the reason
Right.
reality TV is one of it. It's like we thought when it initially came in that it was going to be unscripted and it was great and this is going to be raw TV and we were going to see the real deal, and it was great. But then they started scripting them out, and so what we realized was reality wasn't really reality. It was more photoshopped, or it was an edited version of what it is. What I like about your show is this is as raw as it gets. internet not working, blooper reel, you don't get one. This is it.
Yeah, there's no edits.
No
We're
edit.
live.
Oh,
Whatever
this
you
is
say,
live.
it comes back.
You got to own that, right? So,
Yeah.
so now but that's the beauty of it, is we look for and we're drawn to authenticity. Just think about it now. We're in a world where most people do not say thank you. You could flip someone's world upside down by just saying, thank you, I appreciate that. Talk about serving someone. I walked into an office one day and the person came in and I said, thank you so much for your hard work. We really appreciate it. And during this time, it's tough. So I just want you to know that you're valued. Guess what that person did? Fell on the floor and started crying.
That's how powerful it is, man.
Very just to say, and that was me serving someone else. And we think we don't have to give money or build an orphanage all the time. It can just be a kind word or kind gesture, or paying it forward, buying someone's lunch at Subway or wherever you like to eat at, or whoever's sponsoring your show,
Right. Yeah, we got no sponsors here.
Not yet. We're gonna work that out.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
We're gonna work that one out.
But speaking of authenticity, I mean, not Carl Jung, but Freud talks about the shadow or the ego and the ID and the super ego, and it goes along well with, I think it's like a Chinese or Japanese proverb where you have three faces. The one where you're with your acquaintances or people you don't really know that well, the face you show the world.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the face you show your close friends, your family, the people that you can actually trust. And the last one is the face that you have alone, between you and your creator. And I feel as though there's a struggle, there's a disconnect between those three, at least today. And this is all theoretical. There's no scientific backing behind this. I'm already agreeing. There's no scientific backing about this. But I feel like there's a separation between authenticity, especially when we're talking about social media. When we're talking about, where do you lie between these three faces? Yes, I said phase, Kaler and Chandler. Phase. So it's people have this ideal self that they hold, that they want to be. And so I think sometimes they get stuck in between, not trying to identify with this ideal self, when in actuality, they're this face and not this face most of the time. Yeah. So I think Carl Rogers puts it the best when he talks about, if you want to make your life good, imagine how your life would be in 5 years. Imagine what your ideal life would be in 5 years, authentically speaking. Yeah. What you could actually accomplish. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get done? What kind of relationship do you want to have? What kind of goals do you want to set for yourself? And hold that to your standard. Yeah. And what you do is you work for that standard and sort of align this ideal with these three faces.
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's real good. Nah, that's real good, man.
I think, I think we're stuck in that. I think we're stuck in that middle ground. I'm trying to find, where our ideal self is, and people have this false image, this false ideal self that they're trying to show the world, but they know that that's not their authentic self.
That's not who they are. Yep. I think you're being real deep, man. I don't know if y'all in the chat, you think my man's going deep right now. He's going deep. You gotta just tell him, look,
we got Dell saying philosophically speaking in philosophical terms. Dell getting over here.
My man is going deep right now.
Man.
I wasn't trying to go scuba diving, but I think you hit on a couple of points, man. So I'm putting out a video series right now, raw and uncut, no edits, no nothing, and it's called Vision versus Discipline, or Vision and Discipline. And the one thing that will discipline your life more than anything is vision. So if you have a vision or a goal set in mind, that one thing, if it's a true vision or a true goal, then what happens is it will dictate the way you make moves in life. In other words, if I want to be, a football player, that's the best thing I can think of right now. Football season about to start. So if I want to be a football player, then what I do is, if I'm for real about it, I'll start training, I'll start practicing, I'll start eating right, I'll start watching film and studying how. Now if someone says, hey man, we're gonna go binge on all this junk food, eat all of that we can, and just sit around and not do anything, I'm gonna be opposed to that, because it's going in the opposite direction of the vision.
Right.
And something else to keep in mind is there's a distinct difference between sight and vision. Sight is what we actually see, what really is, so what is present. And then vision is what we hope to attain, or what we believe can be. And you need the both, you need the balance, because vision says I want to be there, sight says this is where I am, but this is the gap that's in between, and it's called a gap analysis. Now you do a gap analysis on your life, and you say, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, without the behaviors to go in between to get you to the end result. All that vision turns into is a nightmare.
Yeah. And that's basically what Carl Rogers, is a proponent of.
I'm very familiar. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he talks about his, basically, you are who you are right now. I mean,
yeah,
without any preconceptions of who you want to be. Just take who you are, and then imagine who you want to be. Who you imagine yourself as, or who do you ideally see yourself as? Yeah, and if they don't line up, you, like you said, there's that gap analysis in between. If they don't line up, there's that gap.
Yep.
So you have to do everything in your power to get to this ideal self.
Absolutely.
And, if that's really what you want, work for it, man. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Freaking work for it.
There you go. You got to put in the work. I remember this. My grandparents, I tell my boys, I have two boys, Nate and Angelo, and I tell them all the time, I say, your grandparents or my grandparents, they didn't do what they wanted to do. They did what they had to do in life.
Right.
Their entire life was built around doing what I have to do. I said, and then my parents did what they had to do, and about 25% of their life was doing what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Then you have your dad, and more than half of my life, I'm 38 years old, more than half of my life has been doing what I want to do.
Right.
And so what it does is it puts you in a position where my son, I was telling him, I said, I'm raising you to do exactly what you want to do in life. If you do anything other than that, that's your choice. It's your choice. And that's part of the vision, right? That's part of the vision is I don't want to give them everything. You got to work for some things. But ultimately, at the end of your life, you're going to be able to say, man, I did exactly what I wanted to do. And most people never get an opportunity to say that.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest regret or that would be my biggest regret, is to look back and think, dang, I could have done that.
Bingo. And I'm with you.
I think I don't want to get to my 40s or 50s and be like, hey man, that podcast that I really wanted to start, that I just went, what happened to it? It was like that about a year ago. It got to the point to where I was like, why do I keep talking about this? Why don't I just start the podcast? And I was bad at it at first. A year ago, I don't think I knew how to communicate that well. And it got to the point to where I was judging myself more than I was listening to the conversation. And so I would get sidetracked by my own thoughts. And I would be like, well, what did they just say? Basically. And so I'm sitting here judging the podcast, judging myself, thinking about, how can I get comfortable in this situation? And over the time, you're bad at the beginning. And I think one of the best advice I ever learned from somebody was, if it's worth doing, it's worth being bad at.
Bingo.
I think that was one of the best advices I had ever gotten from somebody.
Hey man, at the end of the day, it's a skill set. And the great thing about any skill set is it can be learned, right? And
right.
So, the skill sets are traits that you can learn, and you can get better at it over time. So now
I think we just broke up to there. Did we lose you? We still got you, Nate? What's up, everybody? How's everybody's night going? Hope everybody's doing all right. Dang, we got a lot of people in the chat. We got Cade. There we go. Nathan, are you there? Mr. Nate. I think it's Zoom, guys. I don't think it,
what was the
I don't think it's you. I think it's Zoom because it's freezing up my screen too. This is beautiful. Technical errors. Who cares? We're rolling with it. Are you there?
There we go.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
My bad. My apologies.
No, I don't think it's you. I think it's Zoom because it'll freeze up my camera too sometimes.
Oh man, this is crazy. But now, man, so where do we leave off at?
I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea.
It's all good, man. We'll jump back in anywhere you want to start, man.
Let me get to some of these comments real quick because we got a lot of people in here. Strickland in the chat and Cade. Cade, I have no idea what that emote is, but it looks crazy. We got Strickland saying, "What's up, boys?" Oh, everyone is on Twitch. Philosophical Dylan. Dylan, we need to find some time for me to come on. I was driving and had some great high thoughts to talk about. All right, buddy. We'll get you on sometime. Dylan built like a philosophical with his cute ass. Oh my goodness. You crazy Chandler.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. We got Cade looking cute today. Sammy in here. What's up, Sammy? We out here coming up with reasons why we can't do something rather than coming up with reasons why we should.
Woo! That's heavy.
That's a heavy one right there.
That's worth pausing for.
That's a heavy one.
Ooh-wee.
You know, that's been a point of mine for the longest time is, you know, why do we focus on reasons why things can't happen, but we don't focus on reasons why they could happen? You know, like, or like just taking like I can't come up with an example that's not controversial right now. So we're gonna sidestep that one real quick. But again, you know, why do we focus on, you know, why I can't go to the gym? But why don't we focus on, you know, how can I get to the gym? You know, what would be the effort in getting me to the gym? What would it look like if I did get to the gym? You know, something like that.
Nah, that's good, man. Most people are not solutions oriented. And so it's difficult to come up with a solution. I mean, if you think about it in retail, if you do something good and a client or customer is happy, they're more than likely going to tell 2 to 3 people. If a client is disgruntled and they're upset and they're not happy, they're going to tell 10. It's easier to talk about the negative as opposed to the positive.
Right.
It's just, and statistics prove that in retail and other businesses. And so it's very rare to find a group of people that are solutions oriented. So, I mean, in my book, I give practical application on how to come out of that. One of the things is make sure you look at your time. And so look at your time. How are you spending time in your day? What's sucking up all of your time? I remember telling my wife at one point, I was saying, I don't have enough time in my day. I don't have enough time. But I realized I was spending a lot more time than I should have thinking through processes as opposed to actually applying them.
Yeah, I get stuck on that a lot too.
Yeah, so that was that paralysis by analysis, right?
Right.
And it just held me up, and I couldn't make any moves because I would spend more time thinking than I should.
Yeah,
it'd have been better to just take some action and then steer along the way. And my family and I go jet skiing. We love jet skiing, but you do not maneuver a jet ski when it's not in the throttle. When you're not moving forward, it's hard to maneuver a jet ski. You have to have some motion, some forward motion before you can maneuver that bad boy.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. I spend a lot of time thinking about ideas and letting it just mold and, you know, incubate in my head. But then I'm like, oh, what happened to that thought? You know, that was 5 years ago. Why haven't I done it now? You know, where'd it go?
Time moves fast. Yeah. So 5 years later, you said.
I mean, I'm serious, man. I'm 26 years old, and so looking back and thinking, well, you know, there's a lot of things I wish I could have done in my early 20s, and a lot of things I wish I knew. I mean, it's, you know, as you age, you become wiser.
Yeah.
you know, you're like, damn, that was a stupid decision. Like, why did I do that? But you know, you grow,
Yeah.
you become wiser. I would like to think that I am becoming more aware of how valuable time really is as I get
Mm,
older.
yep.
And I'm still guilty of this. I really like TikTok. So
I,
I'm guilty of being on TikTok.
look, I'm not mad at that though.
I'm guilty of it.
Look, it's a delicate balance, man. You have to make sure you take care of you so that you can do the great work that you do. And I'm all about that. And I think that that's that balance that we all have to figure out. Is how do we balance self-care? And self-care is a little bit of TikTok. It's a little bit of that quality time being cupcaked up with your loved one, right? It's
Right.
a little bit of that time with your children or whoever you support in whatever regards. And it's a little bit of just putting in some hard work,
Yeah.
just some hard work so you can make something happen. I was just had a phone call with an investor, and the investor, I was about to say their name, that's why I had to pause.
Yeah, you can.
But with the investor, and this investor has raised like $600 million. And in the process of having this conversation, that's why I said we're going to get you some sponsors.
Hey, hey, we're gonna be looking out.
Yeah, we're going to work on that for real. So, but now I just think that in the process, what happens is they were saying, yo, I'm so exhausted, I'm tired. And I said, will the world come to an end if you took a day off? They said, no. I said, you should really look at the 7 habits of highly effective leaders, right? You need to take some time to sharpen your saw. That's one of
Right.
the great quotes is you got to take some time to sharpen your saw. And so that may require you to pull back, take a week off or take 3 days off, get refreshed so you can go back and you can get to work real hard.
Right. And that's where I've had a problem with the whole grind culture.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole self-help movement right now. And especially on YouTube, if you can literally find any of these videos, and sometimes they're just ads on other videos. And it ends up to where it's like these gurus talking about, you know, you gotta grind, and you know, you know, if you want to be successful, you can't sleep, you can't do this. It's like that's really toxic, bro.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
That's not healthy.
That's chasing a dollar. That's what that is.
That really is. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not gonna condone anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want to put down anybody that likes that sort of lifestyle. If you like that lifestyle, go for it, man. Like if you like to grind and you like to spend every waking hour doing something that's productive, go for it. But like you said, man, there's been research studies that have talked about taking a break period and allowing things to subconsciously incubate in your head.
Yeah.
Your brain is still working on those problems, but when you come back to it after a vacation, you're more refreshed. You're able to approach it from a more abstract, different angle that you might not have seen to begin with.
Yes. I mean, and that's the difference in working in a business and working on a business. So when you're in the business, think of a sports analogy. Again, here's a sports analogy. It's hard for the players to really understand the game from a bird's eye view because they're in it. That's the purpose of a coach. Coach has a different perspective during game time.
Right.
And so a coach can take those perspectives and apply it in real life and give it to them in real time almost as they're calling out plays. Listen, you know, a defender is doing this, you need to step back. But that's the beauty of having that perspective. When you're in the game, you can make some calls, but you can't see everything because you're amongst it. You're in it.
Right.
But once you have a perspective that's outside looking in and you're not pressured by the game itself, then you can make some better decisions. And a lot of times taking some time off gives us that coach's perspective where we can step back and look at the situation differently.
Dell, I don't know if you're still in here, but I'm sure you are. I'm pretty sure everything this man has talked about, we have talked about at some point or another. Dell is like my mentor. So he's like literally he's been trying to tell me everything that you've been telling me, set a vision, take breaks, focus on, how much time you need. Everything, like literally, it's like talking to the same person right now. This is awesome.
Shout out to Dale, my man. I love it. I love it. Nah, telling you to live it. And the reason that it works is because it has a proven track record. I have a hard time following too many things. I mean, I believe in the law of diffusion and of innovation. And I understand that some people have to be that top 2% and 13% before the bandwagon comes, right? But the thing is, this right here has proven track record for years.
Right.
Years. I mean, years, millions of years. The track record is there that if you cast a vision or you set a vision, or if you have a team and you're able to cast that vision to the team and they're able to see it, and then you clear the path for them to go ahead and fulfill the vision, and then you go back and inspect what you expect, the vision more than likely is going to come to pass.
I love it. And we got Randall saying, I think I push too much with my physical therapy, but I'm getting better. And Randall, he's been struggling to take a couple steps each day, but we've been following his journey, and this man, I kid you not, he keeps us updated every time he takes another step. Sometimes he has setbacks, so we're like his support group, so we're trying to push him forward, keep going, man. I'm just, this is crazy.
Hey, Randall, I've had 2 back surgeries. So I get physical therapy. I know what it's like. I can relate, and I empathize with you, man. It's not easy, but you just push yourself just enough for you to get better. Don't overdo it. Don't overcompensate.
Mr. Nathaniel, thank you so much. We're approaching at that hour now.
Yeah, man.
It goes by quick.
It does, man. I tell you, look, I've enjoyed myself, and however I can serve you and your podcast, man. I love what you're doing, and I love how you're doing it. And I've gone back and been able to watch multiple series just so I can be well informed of what you do and how you do it. And so,
hey man, you've done enough just by being a guest. like I said, being a guest is in and of itself. It helps me so much. It shows me so much support because when I get on the screen, it's so hard to talk by yourself and try and do a podcast where you're just like, hey guys, how's your night going? It is so difficult. So I thank you so much for just coming on the podcast, just being a guest. It supports me enough.
No, I appreciate it. And anytime you want me to come back, if that invitation stands, then I'm game.
Of course. We'll get you on in a couple of weeks. We'll get some updates, Let me get to some of these comments before we leave, though. So we got Jordan just joining in chat. She's giving the hearts. Nightbot, why you lying? What you talking about? Oh, he's talking about watch on YouTube. It's better quality. YouTube is better quality, bro. So we have to where we use the software called Restream, and basically what it does is it separates the stream and it sends one feed to Twitch and one feed to YouTube. So
nice.
I like how it works on YouTube a little bit better, but apparently Taylor says it's not. So TikTok is amazing, says Jordan. TikTok a way of life. Garrett says, hey Jordan, why hydrate 1,000? Look, I did my hydrate, guys. So I have this giant gallon of water right here because they can interact with me. They can throw some channel points up and get me to do some stupid stuff.
Hey man, I do 99 ounces a day.
It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy trying to drink that much when you really actually put the number to it.
Yep.
Exactly. Same reason why rally drivers need a co-driver. I think he's talking in reference to the coach and the sports team.
Absolutely. I concur.
Dell says, I'm still here. Teams and visions. This sounds familiar. Yeah, dude. It's literally what me and Dell talk about all the time. Hashtag dream team. Hashtag dream team. What if I spam hydrate? Then I guess I'll have to drink the rest of this, Jordan?
Ooh.
I'll drink the rest? So, but I would recommend saving that because we're about to end it, Jordan. We're about to end stream. So save it for the next podcast so I can chug however much water you need me to chug, okay? But
Amen.
I'm gonna keep you on this side, Mr. Nathaniel. Let's raid somebody on Twitch and go ahead and give somebody some love. Let's find another podcast or talk show.
That's dope.
Let me figure this out. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Just bear with me.
While he's doing that, hey, you can follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
At DOT Service ORG. I'll say it again, DOT Service ORG.
I just dropped it in chat too, so you guys should be able to just copy and paste that name into Instagram, and you'll be able to find his name.
Yeah, connect with me and let me know what you thought, and we can connect because I'm about to go on tour, and so I'm gonna be traveling.
The
doing
delicious statue.
stuff.
What is the shape of the statue?
Engagements. And if you're in one of the areas that I'm in, I would love to connect with you, bring you out to one of the venues. All right.
Perfect. All right, I found somebody to raid. /raid, and we're gonna raid this channel. Hopefully it goes well. What happened? You cannot raid this channel? Okay, never mind. I guess we didn't find somebody to raid.
It blocked you.
I know, right? Let's see. Let's try this one.
It's like wedding crashes right now.
Back and forth like that the whole time, which was actually a laugh.
Okay, here we go. I hopefully this is somebody. Ultra Chin TV. Let's raid. I like to end stream with a little bit of, support groups. So we try to raid people on Twitch whenever we can. So here we go. We got 5 viewers on Twitch. Let's go ahead and hit that raid button. 3, 2, 1. Hit that raid. Make sure you drop the dream team.
Dream team.
# dream team. There we go. All right. So bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. I love you all. Take it easy, guys. I'm going to keep you here. Flash that again and talk.
Hey, get the book.
Get the book. Get the book. Let's get it. All right. Thank you, buddy.